Welcome to the 12 Report with Blessings Musugu, and these are the headlines. AU extends multinational joint task force in mandates to Nigeria, Cameroon and others. Trade Union Congress demands increase in allowances amid high cost of living. Venezuela's Vice President Rodriguez sworn in as interim president. And as usual, we have our reporters stationed in different parts of the country and beyond. Israel Ifirobo and Bernard Akede are standing by in Lagos. Udoka Njoku is in Morocco, and Afia Hagan is on standby in London. We've got the details in a moment. Let's start off with security matters now, where troops of Operation Enduring Peace have successfully rescued retired Colonel Ajanaku following his abduction in Bassa local government area of Plateau State. The retired officer was kidnapped in the early hours of January 5, 2026, from his residence along Rukuba Road. After receiving a distress call, soldiers from sectors 1 and 3 of the operation quickly mobilized and tracked the kidnappers through the wildlife park. The abductors later demanded a ransom of 200 million naira and threatened to kill the officer if pursuit continued. Through a tactical shift to covert operations, the troops located and rescued Colonel Ajanaku at the Rafiki axis of Bassa local government area around 5:30 p.m. He was recovered without any ransom and is currently undergoing medical checks, with reports recovering and confirming he is in stable condition. And now, in the same vein, troops of 6th Brigade Nigerian Army under Section 3 of the Operation Royal Stroke have foiled a kidnapping attempt and rescued 3 victims in Taraba State. In a statement signed by the Army Public Relations, Umaru Mohammed said the operation was carried out on the 5th of January 2026 following credible intelligence by troops deployed at Jeb town on the activities of suspected kidnappers in Sangai village. The Chama ward of Karim Lamido local government area, the Army said 3 victims, 25-year-old Nimor Umar AB, 20-year-old Tafaris Ibrahim, and 23-year-old Habila Yunusa were rescued during the operation. Now, commending the troops, the commander of the 6th Brigade Nigerian Army, Brigadier Kingsley Uwa, reaffirmed the brigade's commitment to ensuring and sustaining operations across the state. Meanwhile, the victims are currently in military custody, where they are receiving necessary care and documentation, after which they will be reunited with their respective families. Now, in the meantime, the African Union has extended the mandate of the multinational joint task force fighting Boko Haram in the Lake Chad Basin for another year. The decision was adopted at the AU Peace and Security Council's 138th meeting on December 15, 2025. Now, according to the AU, the renewed mandate will run from February 1st, 2026 to January 31st, 2027. The force comprises troops from Nigeria, Cameroon, Chad, and Benin, with Niger no longer a member. The Council praised progress against terrorism but condemned continued attacks and honored fallen soldiers. It also highlighted funding and equipment gaps, urging members stated and partners to provide support. As Nigeria marks the 2026 Armed Forces Remembrance Day, Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has reaffirmed the state's commitment to honoring the courage and sacrifices of fallen heroes who defended the nation's sovereignty. The annual remembrance observed on the 15th of January is set aside to reflect on the service of officers and men of the armed forces, while also providing support for wounded veterans and the families that they left behind. Now, Sanwo-Olu described the day as a solemn reminder of the price paid for peace and stability, noting that the welfare of veterans must remain a collective responsibility. In furtherance of this commitment, the governor announced a donation of 100 million naira to the Nigerian Legion, Lagos State Council. From security now, let's move over to safety concerns. Motorists plying the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway have expressed worry over the state of a bridge at the Lotto area of the expressway. The bridge got damaged some months ago when a driver of the low-bed articulated vehicle, which was transporting an excavator, hit a structure, causing damage to its beams. But in the meantime, fresh concerns are emerging over the state of road safety and emergency response in Nigeria, as data from the Federal Road Safety Corps shows that the nation's roads claimed thousands of lives every year. And while calls grow for stronger government policies to protect commuters, experts say urgent attention is needed on road emergency infrastructure. Our correspondent Joshua Imirai has more in this report.
The recent road crash involving English boxing star Tony Joshua, which claimed the lives of two of his friends and also trainers Lateef Ayodele and Shinogami, drew international attention and renewed outrage over safety and emergency response on Nigerian roads. But scenes like this are far from isolated. Official figures from the Federal Road Safety Corps shows that 5,421 people died in 9,570 road crashes in 2024 alone. The Federal Capital Territory recorded the highest number of crashes, with 905, leaving 244 people dead and nearly 2,000 injured. Ogun State followed with 812 crashes and 368 deaths, while Kaduna State, though recording fewer crashes, emerged as the deadliest, with 575 lives lost.
What is the primary causes of these crashes? Speed. 65% is speed. Wrongful overtaking. Tire burst. Route violation. So speed management is life management in Nigeria. And I believe this applies to the rest of Africa.
I am currently standing along the Lugbe Airport Road, the major corridor linking the Abuja Airport to the city center. And what you see behind me is the remains of an abandoned emergency response point previously managed by the Federal Road Safety Corps, a stark reality of a state with the highest number of crashes in the country. This is the reality of emergency response in Nigeria.
You are more likely to die on the Abuja Airport Road than you are likely to die from Enugu to Onitsha. So we are at risk at all over Nigeria.
From Lugbe to Lagos, the message is clear. Nigeria's roads are in crisis and the cost is measured in human lives. Stakeholders say until the government and relevant agencies take urgent steps to restore emergency response infrastructure and enforce road safety measures, accidents will remain all too common. In Abuja, for News Central, I am Joshua Imirai.
Hey, thanks for staying with us on the news. Now, debate over the United States intervention in Venezuela continues to generate strong reactions across the world, with diplomats and policy experts weighing its legality and wider implications. Now, here in Nigeria, those conversations are also unfolding. At the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs, experts are interrogating the action, examining its legal basis, potential consequences for regional and global stability, and what it means for Africa's place in an evolving world order. We're now joined live by News Central's lead correspondent, Bernard Akede, who is at the Institute. Bernard, so far, what appears to be the dominant view among panelists on the legality of the United States action under international law?
I'll quickly start with this question you've asked me, and then I'll have a guest who's joining me here. The dominant conversation here, I think, is that most panelists seem to agree that, yes, there may have been some rules broken by the U.S. President Donald Trump. However, this is not the first time we've seen this. Some have even gone to call it some kind of level of imperialism. Again, it's not the first time we've seen this, and also not the first time we've seen this by the U.S. President. There's also the unanimous agreement that it could happen again. If you remember, very recently we saw this in Libya by the ousting of Muammar Gaddafi. We saw this in Iraq by the ousting of the former Iraqi President Saddam Hussein, where the U.S. even claimed that there were weapons of mass destruction that could hit Western powers in 45 minutes. If you remember, none of such weapons of mass destructions were found. But before I go further, I have Ambassador Joe Keshi, who is also a panelist here. Ambassador, please join us. Thank you so much for joining us. You spoke recently about the consequences. What, in your opinion, would you kindly summarize what you talked about? What do you think could be the consequences of this invasion, so to speak, of the United States on Venezuela? And how do you think it affects Africa and particularly Nigeria?
Well, look, I made 2 points or 3 points. The first point is that we are approaching the issue from 2 legalistic viewpoints, simply because we are all speaking as if America do not understand international law. And my position is that the Americans help write the law. So they know the law they are breaking, but they just don't give a damn. They don't give a damn simply, which was the second point I made. The second point I made is that over the last 60-something years, since 1940-something, we, by our own complacency and weakness, we have empowered the United States to become the policeman of the world. And so the United States has extended that policeman of the world concept to do whatever it decides it wants to do. And unfortunately, we have an impulsive president of the United States today who just wants to be more or less like a king and behave with little or no restrictions. And so that's precisely where we are. And the last point I made, that, look, the only way to solve this thing is for nations to develop their own capacity and capability, and collectively, if they can, check these, impunity, global impunity that we are witnessing. That's going to take a very long time. But until nations do that, and the final point is that something that is reoccurring in this world is that, look, some of these things are also caused by the domestic misbehavior of the leaders. And that until the leaders do the right thing, we are going to see, actions like this occur now and then.
And finally, sir, before I let you go back inside, some months here we had conversation about the relevance of the United Nations. And last year's United Nations General Assembly marked the 80th year of United Nations General Assembly. Again, with this incident, we bring the question back: how relevant is the United Nations to us?
We still have to accept the reality that we need the United Nations. But when nations who help build that, it's like you waking up one morning and you decide to destroy the very house that you built. Without the look, they contribute, as I said in the hall, they are the largest contributor to the United, to the United Nations, the United States. If there's a global event, a crisis today, and we need the United Nations to do something, guess who is going to provide most of the resources, the army, the planes, and you just name it, the United States. So when they are behaving like this under an impulsive leader, we are in crisis, and that's what we need to understand. And that's why I think that the only solution, because there's something we can do. Europe has virtually, lost its own ability to checkmate the United States. So it is not left to developing countries and other countries of the world to develop their own capability and collectively. Because look, if you are depending on the Chinese are only interested in the economic interest. The Russians are nowhere going to help you. So we are almost in a helpless state. But I do not believe we have to be in a hopeless state. Like a country like Nigeria, we have the resources to be a strong military force. But guess where we are?
Thank you so much, Ambassador.
Thank you.
My blessings, as the literature scholars would say, need I say more? As the professor has said, the world has looked up to the United States to be the police or the big brother of the world in terms of crisis, and so they have taken that position themselves. They've taken liberty to go into several countries, as has been done before and has done again now. This seems to be one of the dominant views from inside of the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs this morning.
All right, Bernard Akede, there with the update on the Venezuela's crisis, with the U.S. invasion of Venezuela. And just like Bernard said, this whole situation has elicited a lot of reactions, especially from Nigerians, considering the fact that Nigeria has one of the most agreements with the U.S. And people are asking, well, is it now tending more towards ownership or genuine concern for the people? But once again, Bernard Akede, thank you for the update on that, and definitely would look forward to seeing how this turns out. And now, from security to safety concerns, motorists plying the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway have expressed worry over the state of a bridge at the Loto area of the expressway. And we have a News Central's correspondent, Israel Ifarobo, who's currently at the bridge and joins us now to give us more update on the extent of the damage. Good afternoon, Israel. What else do we know about this damaged bridge? Go ahead. Tell us, give us an update on the bridge.
Great. So right now we are at the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, one of Nigeria's busiest routes. And the story here is that this bridge you see right behind me is one of the interchanges that are being built around the area. It is yet to be completed, but in the process of nearing completion, an accident occurred here some months back, which resulted in a damage of this particular bridge. And as you can see, the damage from that accident resulted into a crack on the bridge there, resulting into a part of the bridge or the beam hanging dangerously overhead. Motorists coming through flying this route now get to this point and they increase their speed, which is very, very dangerous. We understand that every now and then accidents occur on this particular spot due to the speed undertaken by the drivers, due to the hanging of the speed dangerously overhead. People are scared that this bridge, this part of the bridge, could collapse at any point in time. And that's the story here so far. But let's just quickly, talk to a resident here who has been having a daily experience of this particular bridge. So talk to us. You've been witnessing this situation for some time now. How long has it been?
All right, Israel Ifarobo there giving us an update on the Loto Bridge damage. And as you can see, it is no longer the concerns of the damage, but how dangerous it is, looking at the dilapidated nature of the bridge. And unfortunately, we didn't go around to ask about the interventions that are being put in place, by the appropriate authorities. But from what we can see, it's a very dangerous situation right there. Israel Ifarobo, if you can hear me, I was going to find out what the intervention plans are by the appropriate authorities regarding the reconstruction or at least cordoning off that area until something is done, because it's a very dangerous situation that we see there.
Absolutely, blessings. It's a very, very dangerous situation that we see here at the Loto section of the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. Not too long ago, the Federal Consular Works in Lagos State on local education was here, and they did say that it will take some time before they can actually effect some changes here. But that time that has been taken right now is taking forever, so to speak, because cars and motorists are flying this road on a daily basis, and they've been so far at any point in time.
Israel Ifarobo with the update on the Loto Bridge damage, and News Central will keep you updated on that development. But let's talk about cost of living. Now, the leadership of the Trade Union Congress has decried the high cost of living in the country, demanding an increase in the allowances of workers. And now the TUC made the call in a statement by its President Festus Osifo and General Secretary Nuhu Toro, advocating an enhanced social welfare package for workers, including the payment of increased allowances that will help to cushion the effects of rising inflation in the country. It called on governments at all levels to urgently review and enhance workers' allowances as a temporary relief measure, pending the full implementation of a new national minimum wage in 2027, in line with the extant labor law. Now, it also asked workers to remain united, renew their resolve to building a labor movement that stands for workers and for Nigeria. And now talking politics, the People's Democratic Party in Kogi State says it is repositioning to reclaim political relevance as the party declares its readiness to participate fully in the forthcoming local government elections. At a press briefing in Lokoja, the state chairman of the PDP, Mohammed Gambo, said the party's leadership and stakeholders have resolved internal differences and are now united ahead of future contests. Gambo also dismissed concerns over internal disagreements within the party, insisting that the PDP remains strong and attractive, attributing recent tensions to competition for political relevance. Beyond politics, the PDP chairman raised concerns over worsening insecurity across parts of the state, calling on government at all levels to intensify efforts to protect lives and livelihoods.
At the working committee level, we have resolved and agreed that the forthcoming local government election, we are going to participate because PDP is the major opposition party in Kogi State. You see, we have a lot of agreed members for one reason or the other, and we are trying to see how we can set up a reconciliation committee to put behind the past. You see, something that is good, so many can drag for it. But at this point, it is better for us to put behind the difference. And the PDP has the mechanism to put it behind. And that is why we are going to set up a committee. This committee will look into it. Those who are still sitting on the fence, those who have left their house, we are calling on them with a large voice, please return back to your house. We in Kogi, we deserve to sleep with our two eyes closed. We know they are doing their best, but what happened in Egbe, in Okuland, we can no longer take it anymore. We are appealing to the federal government of Nigeria, the state government of Nigeria, the local government. They should all rise to the challenges on ground. Enough is enough. Out of our resolution, we are going to collaborate on the area of the security to see how we can end that insecurity in this state.
Meanwhile, prominent activist Aisha Yesufu has officially registered as a member of the African Democratic Congress, becoming a card-carrying member of the party. Yesufu says her decision is tied to her support for former Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi as political alignments begin to take shape ahead of the 2027 general elections. She also urged young Nigerians to participate actively in politics, stressing that youth involvement is key to achieving good governance. Yesufu added that she's willing to work with others, provided their values and objectives align.
Mr. Peter Obi came officially and brought his people, his allies, his friends, his supporters, and officially declared for ADC. And on that day, I said to him, I have never been a card-carrying member of any political party, but because my leader has called, I will do that. At the state where we are in our country, it is no longer just an option for us to be in political parties. It's a necessity for our country to be able to grow. I've always said that politics is not a romantic affair. I'm not looking for people that we are I'm in love with or we love each other. We might not love each other, we might not like each other, but we have a singularity of purpose, and that's to give Nigeria good governance.
President Bola Tinubu, you are recklessly borrowing money. You are recklessly spending the money. You are recklessly taxing us, we citizens. So this is a message for you. By 2027, we are going to recklessly vote you out.
Now let's go to education. The federal government has announced new measures to curb examination malpractice in the 2026 WAEC and NECO examinations. According to a statement from the Federal Ministry of Education, the reforms include enhanced question randomization, strict enforcement of the ban on candidate transfers at SS3 level, and standardized continuous assessment submission timelines nationwide. The ministry also introduced a unique examination learner's identity number to improve candidate tracking, monitoring, and accountability throughout the examination process. Submission deadlines for CA scores have been fixed for January, April, and August for the first, second, and third terms in that order. Education ministers assured stakeholders that the measures will strengthen credibility transparency, and ethical standards in Nigeria's examination system. While we're still talking education, the Plateau State Governor Karim has pledged to ensure that the quality of education in the state is improved upon, including ensuring that students from the state receive support. The governor spoke in Jos, the state capital, during the farewell ceremony of over 200 Plateau State students on scholarship to the Sanskram University, New Delhi, India, to study different courses in medical sciences, engineering, and ICT. News Central's Chizoba Anue tells us more.
This is the first time the government of Plateau State is supporting this number of students from all the 17 local government areas of the state for foreign scholarship programs. The governor, while informing those in attendance on the selection process, says it was solely based on merit.
I have thoroughly investigated the process, and I want you to know that, first of all, everyone who is included in this scholarship scheme is, first of all, because he has a foundation, he or she has a foundation of hard work and excellence. If they did not have the grades they had in WAEC, nobody will even discuss them.
Mutfwan regretted that many other candidates were disqualified for their indulgence in illegal drugs.
I am made to understand that some of you had to be turned back because they couldn't pass the drug test. Brilliant, but already spoiled. It's painful to any parent. Yesterday, last night, we raided hotels across Jos Bukru metropolis, and we picked up over 100 girls, 14, 15, kept in hotels for prostitution and smoking weed. Is so painful.
The State Commissioner for Education, including other stakeholders present, had a word for the benefiting students.
Your admission to a world-renowned institution is a testament to the hard work, discipline, and the relentless pursuit of excellence that define our great state.
Sir, because of this gesture, the son of the widow is going to benefit from a quality education. An orphan will benefit from quality education. Sir, as parents, all we can say is thank you.
Some of the students, in appreciation for this goodwill gesture, pledged not to disappoint the people of the state.
I see this as a rare opportunity, and I will not take it for granted.
We will make great Plateau State proud.
With expectations high, the state government, parents, and loved ones say they are hopeful that the initiative will benefit the state with time. In Plateau State, for News Central, Chizoba Anue.
You're still live with us on the 12 Report, and still to come, Venezuela's Vice President Rodriguez sworn in as interim president. We've got the details when we return. Many thanks for staying with us on the 12 Report. Now let's talk business. The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPC, has reduced its premium motor spirit price to 815 naira per litre, marking a 20 naira decrease from 835 naira. This latest cut is part of an ongoing price war in Nigeria's downstream oil sector, triggered by Dangote Refinery's earlier price reduction to 699 naira per litre. The new price has taken effect at NNPC Limited filling stations in Abuja, including Wuse Zones 4 and 6, Kefi Abuja Road and Kubwa Expressway. However, NNPC Limited's price remains 76 naira higher than Dangote's refinery-backed MRS filling stations, which sell at 739 naira per litre nationwide. Nigeria Vice President Delcy Rodriguez has been sworn in as Venezuela's interim president following the arrest of Nicolas Maduro by U.S. authorities. Rodriguez, who has served as vice president since 2018, took office during an emergency parliamentary session, condemning the U.S. operation that detained Maduro and his wife in an overnight raid. Earlier, Maduro appeared in a New York courtroom, pleading not guilty to multiple charges, including drug trafficking and terrorism, while insisting he remains Venezuela's president. The developments triggered sharp debate at the United Nations, where Venezuela denounced the arrest as an illegal armed attack. However, the United States defended its actions, calling Maduro an illegitimate leader and a fugitive from justice. Now, for more on this, I'm joined by our senior international correspondent and anchor, Afia Hagan. Afia, in court, Maduro claimed he was kidnapped, and he insisted that he's still the president and also called himself a prisoner of war. How will this argument play legally and also politically in the U.S. judicial system?
Well, yeah, that's a really good question. First of all, let's take the part of legally. So he said that he was kidnapped, and he says that he is a prisoner of war. If you look at the kidnapped claim, that rarely stands up in American courts. There's precedence that if people say they have been kidnapped or taken illegally by the United States, they've historically allowed those criminal cases to proceed anyway, even when a defendant argues that they were brought to the U.S. unlawfully. He also was trying to invoke his head of state and sovereignty immunity. That becomes a real battleground. His statement, "I'm still the president," that's aimed at triggering arguments that a sitting head of state is immune from U.S. prosecution. Also, the prisoner of war statement, that's more about political theatre than a clean legal defense, because the U.S. claims the reason why it went into Venezuela was because of drugs, because they say Maduro is a narco-terrorist, and they are putting low-level law enforcement, their law enforcement, into Venezuela to turn it around. There is no war. There is no conflict, so they say. So that argument that he put forward that he is a prisoner of war doesn't really stand up in court either.
So let's get this straight. Maria Corina Machado called Maduro's capture a huge step for humanity, freedom, and human dignity. What does her reaction tell us about the opposition's position and aspirations?
Well, yes, Machado, the opposition leader, the winner of the Nobel Peace Prize, who left to come to Norway to pick up the award and go back. Her statement tells us three things, right? First of all, she and the opposition are framing this as a moral liberation, not just politics. This is about humanity, it's about freedom, and it's about dignity. They also show, the opposition, that they are willing to accept and publicly endorse the US action. And that's a huge strategic choice, because it can energize their supporters who want Maduro gone by any means, but it also risks alienating people, as well as foreign governments who may see the US's actions as illegal and have sparked international outrage. So she's really picking her side there. Also, there's a pivot towards elections and towards reconstruction of the country. She's promoting a readiness for a transition, a readiness that there should be a re-election, and that poses a new challenge to the new vice president, who's been sworn in as president as well, that she is ready to take this to another election.
All right. Thank you so much. News Central's international correspondent and anchor, Afia Hagan, for the updates on that. And we'll see how this turns out, and also how it reflects on the other countries, especially those who have signed one deal with the U.S. or another. Nigeria's Minister of Works, David Umahi, recently said there's no place you can succeed if not Nigeria. It's a bold statement, but it clashes hard with the lived reality of millions of Nigerians. Because before we even talk about succeeding, why don't we talk about survival? So for many Nigerians here, the daily conversation is not about growth or about ambition. It's about food, it's about jobs, shelter, power, safety, and even basic dignity. Food prices have more than doubled in the last year, and a large percentage of Nigerians now spend most of their income just trying to eat. You see, unemployment and underemployment remain high, especially among young people. Even graduates are fighting for jobs that cannot pay transport. Access to basic amenities is still a privilege. Power is unreliable. Clean water is not even guaranteed. Healthcare is expensive and is often inaccessible, looking at the recent accidents that has happened. Now, education is increasingly out of reach for families that once could even afford it. And when emergencies happen, the system struggles to respond. We have seen road accidents where victims waited endlessly for help. We've seen fires where communities relied on buckets instead of fire trucks. We've seen medical emergencies where ambulances arrived late or did not even arrive at all. Now, these are not isolated stories. They're patterns. So yes, Nigerians are resilient. Nigerians are talented. Nigerians are succeeding despite the system. But saying that Nigeria is the best place to succeed ignores the costs at which that success comes. It ignores the millions who are exhausted just trying to stay alive. Success should not require suffering first. If Nigeria truly wants to be the best place to succeed, it must first become a place where survival is not a daily battle, because ambition cannot breathe where basic life support is missing. And that's your postscript. Now, before we go, let's take a look at what's happening in the sporting world. Fans in Morocco have hailed the Super Eagles after their emphatic 4-0 victory over Mozambique on Monday in Fez, a result that sealed a place in the quarterfinals of the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations. And many fans describe the performance as Nigeria's most convincing showing of the tournament so far, applauding the team's defensive solidity and clinical finishing. And joining us from Fez is our sports correspondent, Udoka, what was the mood in the Super Eagles camp after the 4-0 win over Mozambique? How confident are the players about going into the quarterfinals now?
Excitement all the way, blessings. Excitement for the Super Eagles, excitement for the coach, excitement for the fans, excitement for the Moroccans who supported Nigeria all the way right here in Fez. So looking forward to the quarterfinal against either of Algeria or DR Congo. The boys are optimistic and they'll be going into that one with positivity as well. But of course, in as much as we saw that little setback between Chelsea and Ademola Lukman, it did not deter the team's performance yesterday, getting that 4-0 win against Mozambique. So just excitement all the way. And just so you know, yesterday was the last game the Super Eagles of Nigeria played here in Fez, and we'll be leaving Fez to Marrakesh when that will be the next venue where the Super Eagles will play on their next opponent.
All right, well, you've heard it. Regardless of the drama, we still celebrate the spirit of sportsmanship. And that's all on the 12 report. Do well to stay tuned on In the Games. And remember, you may send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen because we want to see what you see. Also, do well to follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV, channel 422, GoTV, channel 23, Star Times 274, Avo TV, and of course, live on YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I'm Blessings Masugu.